We're at the home of Mike Lindsey, owner of Scapes Incorporated, a design build firm here in Mustang. Mike, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
I know I visited with you in the past. We've seen some of your landscapes on the Oklahoma Horticulture Society tours, and you certainly do wonderful work. So it's a pleasure to be here in your home garden.
Well, thank you very much.
As I've looked around here, I could see a little bit of an Asian influence. Would you say that's accurate?
Yes, it is. I have a lot of respect for the Chinese and Japanese gardeners. They have pretty much invented so much of what we now enjoy as gardens, and unique thought processes and the way they would work with nature and enhance it, where we'll come in and bulldoze it, add a drain, and then we're good. You know, so I have a lot of respect for the Asian gardens.
And you mentioned that natural element. I could see pieces of that here. It's man-made, of course, but you do have the waterfalls and a lot of stonework as well.
A little bit, and then I like to add a few, like we've got the gong back here and things. I just like the elements and the touches, and I like anytime you introduce a little bit of garden art, a little bit of sculpture, whatever. To me, it adds a nice touch.
Absolutely, it gives it a bit of your own character. Some of the landscapes I've seen that you've worked in are really large. I would think of them more maybe high scale. How do you make those feel at home, more comfortable?
Well, so much of it is you take a look, if it's a new construction project, let's say it's on a wooded lot, so many of the trees are dozed because of construction, so the first thing we try to do is add the element of that forest back to the house. So we try to reconnect some of the large feature trees back to the house, so that we get this nestled feel again. For instance, this garden, there was not a single tree in this area. Everything here is man-made and built, and with the soil elevations in the trees. So I just wanted to feel enveloped when I'm in my backyard, and so we approach that concept on a lot of our projects.
And I do feel like you've really closed this space in and made it very livable, very comfortable.
Well, thank you.
One of the things else, I feel there's just a great continuity. If you were giving some advice to a gardener, what would you suggest to them to kind of create more of a cohesive feeling?
Well, gosh, gardens are very individual. And the first thing we try to do is talk with the client, find out what their lifestyle, what the use of the garden is, how much they're there, what windows face what portions of the garden, and then kind of start the process of how and what to build. I'm very careful not to design a house that I feel, or a garden I feel they should have. I always try my best to listen and guide them along, not let them make mistakes as far as the wrong choices and the wrong areas and what have you, but try to make it their garden. And
it's very important, because they're the ones who are going to be living there and enjoying that space.
And they're writing the check, so you need to keep that in mind.
Well, as I walk around your landscape, I feel like I'm in maybe a miniature arboretum. You have some magnificent collections, and I wanted to start just looking right here at your amber maple. Tell me about this tree.
When I bought this, the nursery I bought this from had kept pretty good records, and this was a seedling in 1961. And it took me about 14 or 15 years where I weighted the branches down. When I got it, it was more vase-shaped, and it took me several years to pull the branches down slowly but surely, and then to root prune the roots, and then I go through and fiber cut the roots every 2 to 3 years, try to keep it a true compact bonsai tree.
So that dwarfs it, and you do that, but you'll come in and excavate the root system?
I usually take a power washer and wash the soil back. I don't want to add any more stress to the plant than I have to, so I'll go in just from place to place. I don't do the whole thing. I'll just do areas. Each time I do it, and then go back in and fiber cut and try to really dwarf the growth and compact. By doing that.
And I imagine then the pruning too, you do some heavy pruning to create real dense foliage.
That's constant. Yeah, I'll do that about 3 or 4 times a year to keep the shape a little more specific and get the clouds more separated. I need to do a little more work up top this year, but haven't had time.
It's had a marvelous effect. That's a fantastic tree. I feel like it looks like a pagoda to me.
Well, thank you.
Let's take a look at some more plant material.
Sure.
Well, Mike, I was really interested to see this Japanese maple here growing right in the full sun.
Sure.
It's a sengukaku.
It is, and I enjoy the redwood in the winters. It's absolutely beautiful with the green backdrop of the hollies, and seems to be very resilient. It's been here 5 years in the same spot, and in a real hot drought summer, we'll get a little bit of leaf scorch, as we do on some of the green Jap maples. But I've got several of the Sariu and Purpureas in my garden, and then we sell. I love the green Jap maples. They have the best fall color, just absolutely brilliant fall color. So I got to have a green maple varieties.
And with the coral bark, you know, again, you get that red bark in the winter, so it's just great interest all year long.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, Mike, I know the ginkgo is on your company logo, and I imagine this is one of your favorite trees here.
Absolutely. You got to love the oldest known tree in existence. So, and the fall color's amazing. So
it's a pretty remarkable. I think we should use it more in Oklahoma. It's just so tolerant.
I do too. Most people just don't light on it when you mention to them the significance of it. I don't know, for some reason it's a little harder to sell, but it's worth the while.
Interesting. It sure is worth it. It's just a very graceful looking tree to me.
I agree.
You have another wonderful specimen here. This is a true cedar of Lebanon.
Yes, it is.
Tell me about that specimen.
That is a tree I bought in Oregon about probably early 90s, and it was already pretty good size when I bought it. Extremely slow growing, tolerant. I love how it puts out its shelves. They just kind of roll nicely.
Yeah, it has a great form. But it's a pretty rare plant to find in the trade, isn't it?
It's really rare to find. Most growers don't mess with it because it takes so long to grow. You can't make a profit by growing and selling them. So, yeah, they're very difficult to come up with.
Well, I know you're working on some seedlings, so maybe in another 20 years we'll
That's right.
have some good
I've got some young ones on the way.
Well, there's a couple more trees around front I wanted to take a look at before we leave. Mike, you have a beautiful deodar here by the front entranceway, and we see a lot of blue atlas cedar, we see a lot of blue weeping deodars, but this one with the gold tone to it, it's really unique.
Well, thanks. I think it's one of my favorites. I think it's an improvement to the aria or the golden deodar at the gold cone. And they just seem to be more vibrant, and I think the cell count might be a little heavier, just a little plumper needle. I just like the look.
It looks a little full. Sometimes they can look a little like
happier in our climate, I think, than some deodars.
Okay. And over here we have what, your pride and joy, right?
Well, this is our skyward cypress. This was a seedling about 20 years ago that I bought to field and recognized it had some different characteristics to it. So worked with it for several years. It's been about 20 years. And so
such a wonderful upright habit to it. And you've been watching this for a number of years. It's really tolerant of ice, and
it's extremely tolerant of ice. The raised golden elm that's behind us was shattered four years ago in the bad ice storm. Basically broke in half, and this tree barely had a list on the top of it, and that's about the fourth significant ice storm it's been through, and I think I lost one twig on one of the storms, so it's extremely weather tolerant as well.
Excellent. Another thing I noticed, you know, being a bold cypress, there's no knees sticking up out of the ground.
I haven't discovered any surface roots at all. I've even gone through with a probe and just checked, and this is in a low area, and I keep this really wet. That's one of the real bonuses about the plant is the non-aggressive root system. So the ones that we're taking from cuttings, you know, we can replicate the roots and the top. So that's kind of exciting. It's a unique feature.
So you've been taking a number of cuttings from this specimen.
He's a little thin through here from the cuttings. We've been building up the tissue for these plants. Green leaf is helping us with the growing and the contracting of the patent rights and all that. So yes, he's had a lot of wood taken the last couple of years. That's why he's a little bare right here. The top looks better.
Lindsey, what's the name of it?
Lindsey Skyward.
Wonderful. And we'll be expect to see this coming next
It'll be on the market in the spring. Isley's growing it, Greenleaf's growing it, and There's a growing list. Monrovia will be growing and featuring the plant, but it'll be
Excellent.
released in the spring.
Excellent. And we saw a little one in the backyard, and it's just as adorable when it's small. It's a
So baby-
magnificent plant.
Well, I thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your landscape and a bit of your tree knowledge with us.
Well, whatever that's worth. So.